Well, one might rightly ask, hey, don't we hear from that whole story of the creation in Genesis on the Easter Vigil? That's probably good enough. It's really long. We know the story. Why do we have to, repeat that, particularly at daily Mass? And in fact, stay tuned in tomorrow, because if you notice, I left off at day 4. So tomorrow we pick up the story, go all the way through the 6th day. And we definitely have a temptation as modern people who know maybe a tad more about science than those who were inspired to write these words. We might say, well, that's not really how it goes, and there's no dome. We know that. But one thing that is important for us, each time throughout this story of creation, on each of the days of creation, we should marvel at the fact that God has power and creates all this stuff. And he actually names things. There's a biblical significance to the fact that one who gives a name to something has power over it, dominion over it. But the part that I think is most important for us on a regular old cold day in February is that each time God does some creating, the scripture bothers to tell us every time that God saw how good it was. And I get the sense that it feels like, anyway, maybe I'm putting this on the text, but it feels like when an artist has completed a project, maybe like, for instance, this beautiful art mural that we priests get to look at all throughout Mass that you all see on your way out, that scene of the crucifixion. Imagine how long that would have taken the artist, how close he would be when he's up there on the scaffolding high above the floor of the church, and then to come down at the end, stand right about here and go, wow, yeah, that looks pretty good. Almost impressed or surprised. Now, of course, with God, we could do all that thinking, well, God is omniscient and he knows, he's not surprised at how good it was. But for some reason, the Genesis author tells us that each time. And I don't want to skip ahead to tomorrow, but we know that God eventually creates us, right? Not just the seeds and the little sparkles in the sky. And he says how good it is. Now, that's not the same as saying that God thinks it's good when creation goes awry. God created the plants, and some of them are poisonous and kill people. God doesn't think that's good. So when God creates us and beholds us as good, that's not the same as approving every bad choice that we make or thinking that there's no such thing as sin. No. But fundamentally, as creator, and this to me sounds even more than artist, it sounds like father, like a father holding the little babe in his arms and saying, this is nothing but good. I want nothing but good for this little life. Fundamentally, God believes that you and I are good, that we have God's life within us. Maybe God believes that more than you and I do certain days. And maybe we need to hear that, even repeated again and again in a long reading, that everything that God creates and loves into existence, including you and me, God believes is good at its core, at its creation. He's also realistic, and when we stumble and fall and sin, he invites us to admit that and be reconciled. But before any of that happens, you and I are good. Can we hear God say that to us today? Some days I need to hear God say that to me when I'm not confident, when I've messed up, when I've hurt someone with my words. Maybe today's a good day to be reminded of that. By the way, we'll get reminded tomorrow again too if you come back. That God looks at all of his creation, including you, and he sits back and he says, wow, that is good. I love that. I love them. Do you need to hear that today? I think I probably do.